Hello, welcome to our podcast. I am Tim Ingram, missionary to Brazil. I'm here with my son Joshua.
Hello.
And this is a treat today because Pastor David, who's normally with me, is traveling, so Joshua gets to be with me. And so very excited about
Yes,
that.
sir.
Are you excited?
Yes, sir.
Your first podcast in English?
Yes, sir.
Now, we did do some videos for missions a couple years ago, me and you. And so you're not, this is not your first time I do something like this. And so we're here coming to you from an undisclosed location. What's wrong?
Nothing. Nothing.
It's our house, Dad. You've disclosed it. Now it's the disclosed location. And so we're today our podcast is going to be a little bit different. We are in Genesis 14, and we are going to be looking for man principles in Genesis 14. And Joshua, what is significant about Genesis 14?
It is the first battle in the Bible
recorded. Yes, it's the first recorded battle in the Bible. And there's one other thing that's especially interesting. It's the first time we find tithing in the Bible. And today we're going to get through probably about half the chapter, and then we'll do the second half next week. But I want you to read for us, Joshua, verse 1 through 12 of Genesis 14 to get us started.
Yes, sir. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, and Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Sheneb, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zebulun, and the kings of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vales of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Kedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Kedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims and Ashtarthoth, Karnaim, and the Zuzims and Ham, and the Emims and Sheva Kiriathim, and the Horites and their Mount Seir, into Elparan, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazez and Tamar. And there went out of the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zebulun, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim, with Kedorlaomer the king of Elam, and with Tidal king of nations, and Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and fell there, and they that remained fled to a mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
Okay, so this is the first recorded battle in the Bible. Joshua, tell us a little about what's going on here in this passage.
In this passage, we see that 5 kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, and the others are enslaved. They're paying tribute. They've been conquered by the 4 kings of the north, by Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, and Tidal, and Kedorlaomer. These kings, they're paying them tribute, they're serving them, and they're basically enslaved. And after 13 years of being enslaved, they rebel. They decide, we're not paying tribute anymore. And in the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and his confederation, the other kings, come down to retake them, to get their tribute back. And they fight in the vale of Siddim, and they win. And they take all their loot from Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other cities, and march back up north to their kingdom.
Okay. And so the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah have been conquered. They've paid tribute, and now they're being conquered again.
Yeah.
And this time they've decided, we don't want tribute anymore. We're just going to take you away, take everything you have, and taking them back home with them, including Lot and his family. And everybody there. And this sets the stage for an episode with Abraham. And we're going to see some things about Abraham that we haven't seen, up to this point. And so verse 13 is where kind of we're going to get started. about the man principles, because up to this point, we've just seen the Sodom and Gomorrah have been conquered
Yes, sir.
and been taken away. So, verse 13, he says, "And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol, brother of Aner. These were confederate with Abraham." So let's go through these kind of one at a time. Give me one man principle that we get out of verse 13.
We see that Abraham had friends. He was confederate
Okay.
with the Amorites.
Okay. So the first principle we're going to look at is the importance of friends,
Yes, sir.
Confederates. At this time, there wasn't an army. There wasn't a structure there, so Abraham couldn't call the police or couldn't call anybody. You had your own defense, right?
Sure.
And so he needed some people that were going to fight with him. And these were the people, the Confederates with him. There are these three men, Amorite, Mamre or Eshcol, the brother of Aner, Mamre, Eshcol, and Aner were the three that were confederate with him. And so we see the importance of friends, because when you get attacked, and Abraham here wasn't being attacked, but they had agreed to help each other in the event that they were attacked. And so if they had been attacked, Abraham would have taken his men and defended them. And that's an important part of friendship. Now, you're 16. How important is friendship for you as a 16-year-old?
Very important.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and do you think that, that grown men have an easier time with friendship?
Probably not.
They don't. And I remember a friend of mine was in another city, was starting a ministry for men, a once a month meeting for men. And one of the things that he dealt with was, I said, "What are you going to do for your first meeting?" He said, "We're talking about friendship." Because a lot of men don't have friends. I mean, they have acquaintances, but they don't have close friends. And I'm thankful today that I have some close friends that I can call if I need something. If they need something, they can call me. And you have some friends down here in Brazil and also in the U.S. Yep.
Yes, sir.
And that's a blessing. Tell me a little bit, Joshua, about being a friend.
Being a friend is, the Bible says, if you want to have friends, you need to be friendly.
Yeah.
And one of the important things about being friends is being able to stand up for one another.
Mm-hmm.
You're together.
Mm-hmm.
If one needs help, the other's there standing up with him, praying for each other, encouraging another spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's helping each other grow.
Mm-hmm.
Dividing what you have. If one has something the other doesn't have, just sharing and being friendly.
That's big in Brazil. Because in Brazil, for those in the States who've never been to Brazil, if you have something,
Yes, sir.
you have to offer it to others. So if you have a candy bar and you got like 5 people, you're like, "Would you like some of the candy bar?" So sharing's a pretty big deal. So thinking about friends, what are some things, some qualities that you think of? And probably here with Abraham, that would have been qualities you look for in a good friend.
One that would help me when I'm being attacked, help stand up with me.
Okay.
Another thing that I didn't mention before would be reproving, like if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
he would, "Hey, that might not be a good idea."
Yeah, and so like if you're going to the battle and like Abraham's there with Aner and Abraham sees something like they're fighting, they're preparing, for defense, and he's like, "Hey, that's probably not a good idea over there," and just kind of calling attention to it. And a good friend will do that.
Yes, sir.
And so, so we see Abraham had his friends here, his confederates that were going to go with him to help protect him and to prepare him. And we need that. If the devil can get us isolated where we don't have anybody close to us. And there's a lot of young people today, Joshua, who are very isolated.
Yes, sir. And one thing about being isolated, I recently read a book on, I forget the year exactly, but it was in England. It was King Henry. Forgot which Henry it was, but it was King Henry. Anyway, the king had treated one of his nobles badly, unjustly, and his cousins, brother-in-law. His brother-in-law was the man who put that king on the throne, and they got mad. So they decided, we're going to rebel. We put him on the throne. He's not treating us or our friends right. We're going to take him off. So they decided to rebel, and they got a whole confederation. And there was the Percys in the north. So he's a lord. He has his army. The Scottish had their army. So there's basically 5 different big armies. They got together and we're going to take out this king of England. The only thing was they didn't get together soon enough. They were to meet at a certain location, and when they got there to meet, 2 of them weren't there. So there was just 2 of them versus the king, and they fought a really hard battle, which was pretty even odds, but they ended up losing. Then the other 2 that weren't there, when they heard that, have lost, they retreated, and everybody failed. Some lost their positions. It was just a terrible defeat, and all because 2 people weren't there at the meeting place on time.
Oh wow!
So because they were isolated, they lost everything.
Yeah. That's a good lesson. It's a good lesson is when you're Confederate, you got to be together.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good. Appreciate that. That's a good story. Being isolated, especially with Abraham's time, Abraham saw the importance of friendship.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times that's one of Satan's biggest tactics.
Yes, sir.
Trying to get you isolated.
Yes, sir.
Isolated from your parents.
Yes, sir.
Isolated from your friends. Get you all alone. Get you in your technology, and you're in your own little world and doing your own thing. And so Abraham, he made a point of making some friends.
Yes, sir.
That if he was attacked, he would have somebody with him.
Yes, sir.
So talk about, Joshua, a little bit about being a good friend.
Yes, sir. So, a good friend, he'll help the other one.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to sacrifice his own pleasures for the other.
Mm-hmm.
He will reprove the other if the other is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And he seeks the welfare of his friend.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to see his friend doing well, happy. If his friend gets something, he's glad. He's not, I wish I had that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's humble.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the big obstacles today with friendship among young people?
A lot of it would have to do with identity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not sure, the fear, being anxious of being betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be his friend, but what if he doesn't want to be friends with me? What if he just throws me to the side, caring what other people will think?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a good friend, I'm going to help my friend, because it's possible that I could be somebody's friend, but they're not friends with me.
That's true, yeah.
So a good friend would be friends no matter what others think.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think, and there's the danger that other people have things they're struggling with, and you think it's you.
Yes.
One of the things especially with girls, is they're like, well, they don't like me. And it's like, you talk to them like, well, they don't like me. And so, yeah, I think, if we aren't careful, we begin to assume or presume things about what other people are thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's good. I appreciate that. And so Abraham needed friends.
Yes, sir.
And we need friends. And I'm thankful that you've got friends and here in Brazil and in America too, and that's a blessing. Amen. And so one of the great stories of friendship in the Bible is Mephibosheth and David. And David had promised Jonathan and Saul that he wouldn't cut off their line. And so when David got to the throne, he said, is there anybody left of the house of Jonathan, of the house of Saul? And they said, well, there is, Mephibosheth, he's crippled. And so David does something very dangerous. He goes down to befriend Mephibosheth. And that was a very dangerous thing.
Yes, sir.
Because he was Saul's grandson. And if he decided to turn on David, that would have been disaster.
Yes, sir. And that's something, I mean, kings, especially when you're and there's a king and then you come and you're not from the family, you're basically an usurper.
Yeah.
You don't have the guy you killed. You don't have his son or his grandson at your court.
Yeah.
You don't, because that's going to...
Yeah, it could have gone wrong a lot of ways. Because if Mephibosheth had gotten up there and been like, oh, I'm going to poison the food, or he'd been like, I'm going to turn on David, or he'd been, I'm king now. Yes. And so he could have rebelled. And so that was very dangerous for David.
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about, a lot of times one of the great obstacles for friendship is fear.
Yes, sir.
Fear of what other people think of us, fear of we're going to be rejected. And it's interesting because in the next chapter, David goes to become friends with Hanun, which is the son of Nahash, the Moabites. Moabites, maybe. I'll have to look it up. I don't remember. But Hanun, David sent 3 men to go comfort him after his father died. And, of course, they cut off their beards and their clothing, and they sent him away ashamed. And of course, David was rejected, and of course that led to a big war, and where David's ended up a long drawn out war, and David ended up defeating them, and so he was rejected by Hanun. So that's a good point. But Abraham understood the importance of friends and confederates to help defend him. It's very good. So we're still in verse 13. There's another principle here that you mentioned on the earlier podcast.
Yes, sir. We see that when the guy escaped from the battle,
mm-hmm.
he didn't go to another king in Arabia. He didn't go to Egypt. He didn't go anywhere else. He went to Abraham.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy, he'll take up our fight. He'll help us. He's an honest man. He knows how to fight.
Mm.
But we see that Abraham was well respected
mm-hmm.
in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He was real respected. They came to Abraham that Abraham would help them. They'd probably seen Abraham training his servants while they were down in Sodom, just hanging out, doing nothing. Yes. Sodom was a wicked city.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was known for perversion and known for wickedness. God will end up destroying the city. What do you think the people in Sodom said about Abraham? Do you think it was nice?
No.
It wasn't nice. They made fun of him. They ridiculed him. Abraham, he's not like us. He's not tolerant like us. He's an old fuddy-duddy. He just
lives out all alone.
Yeah, he lives out all alone. He worships God. And so they would probably make fun of him. And if you live for God today,
people are going to make fun of you.
They're going to make fun of you, but they're also going to respect you.
Yes, sir.
When I was in the Marine Corps, I remember a guy came up to me and he told me, he said he didn't agree with where I stood on things, but he said, I respect you because you have convictions and you stand against, and the Marine Corps is a wicked place. A lot of stuff goes on there that, drinking and sleeping around and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't do that stuff, you're weird. You're like, well, what is wrong with you? Why don't you do all these things? And of course, in college or wherever, if you don't live like the world, they're going to ridicule and make fun of you, but they're also going to respect you. When they need help,
they're going to come to you.
They're going to come to you because they see that you walk with God. And so a lot of times they make fun of you because they don't have convictions. They don't live that way. And a lot of times they're like, I wish I had what you have. And so, they come to Abraham because they respected him.
Yes, sir. And I think in his testimony, it's very important having a good testimony in the world. I
Yeah.
mean, if you come and you're a Christian, but you're living like them, they're not gonna see, oh, that's a Christian. I want to be like that.
Yeah.
It's not, you guys won't be able to be used to God in the way that if you had a good testimony, it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So it's important here because, Sodom and Gomorrah probably before this battle didn't think much of Abraham.
Yes.
But now the one guy escapes and he's like, who can help us? Oh, Abraham. Abraham can
Yes.
help us. And so, you want to have a testimony so that when the world needs help,
Yes, sir.
they're going to come to you. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I know that preacher. Oh, I know Joshua. Yeah, Joshua will pray for me. Joshua can help me. He knows the Bible. Let me say this. Do people see who you really are out in the world?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they can see through you. If you're not real, they can see that. Especially teenagers. Teenagers know other teenagers. Like the adults may not see it. I remember when I was a youth pastor and people would be like, but you don't know who the carnal ones are. And there's a lot of times I didn't. But, there were some of them that, they looked spiritual, but they really weren't. So it's important to be real. And Abraham was real. He walked with God. He wasn't a perfect man. Very good. Let's go to verse 14. So we see that it's the man principle, the importance of being an example, and being real,
Yes.
the importance of friends. Let's go to verse 14. Why don't you read that for us?
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan.
Very good. Very good. So give me one man principle we get out of this verse here.
We see that Abram was ready
Mm-hmm.
to fight.
Okay, he was prepared to fight.
Prepared to fight. He had his servants were trained,
Mm-hmm.
and it says that they were born in his own house, and that they were most likely very loyal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially in that age and time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was prepared. He had trained, loyal servants.
It's almost like he was expecting a battle.
Yes, sir.
Only, in the life of Abraham, think about the life. Was Abraham ever attacked?
No, sir.
Not personally.
Not personally.
They're probably like, no, you don't attack Abraham. And so it's interesting. He wasn't fighting his own battles. But he was prepared because the battle's coming. How important is it, Joshua, for us to be prepared?
It's very important. And in Proverbs, there's the verse, a man not prepared is like a city without walls.
Yeah.
And if we're not prepared, a lot of battles have been won. Kingdoms have been thrown down because one guy wasn't watching. They weren't prepared. They were surprised.
Yeah.
And being prepared is definitely, I'd rather go play golf being prepared with golf clubs than with a hand.
It is. Talk about
Prepared.
preparation. Does Satan want to destroy you?
Yes.
Does he want to destroy our family?
Yes.
He does, and he attacks us, and we know that. We know he wants to attack us, and it's important for us to be prepared for the battle that's coming. And Abraham had trained his servants. It says they were trained servants. What were they trained for?
For war, for fighting.
For fighting. They knew how to fight. One of the things here, one of the principles here is a man fights.
Yes.
A man fights, and everybody fights. People are like, well, what about the guy sitting in the mom's basement playing video games? It's like, well, if you turn his internet off, he's going to pull a hamstring coming up out of there. Where's my internet? And he'll fight for that. And so everybody fights for something, right?
Yes, sir.
And, a lot of times we're fighting for our own lust. James 4:1, he says, from whence cometh wars and fightings among you, come they not even of your own lust. He says, you fight and you kill,
Yes.
and ye have not, because ye ask not. Everybody fights for something. It's just, unfortunately, many people today are fighting for the wrong things.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, as a young man, 16 years old, what do you think a lot of young people today are fighting for?
They're probably fighting for, there's a lot of things they fight for.
Yeah.
If a lot of, I think, teens, their desire is to become rich,
Mm-hmm.
to have material goods.
Yeah.
They're fighting to, to be rich, to trying to work money, buy the latest car, the latest thing, look good. Or those who are into sports, they're fighting, trying to be the best on their team.
Yeah.
And a lot of teens are just fighting for what they want to be, their dream,
Yeah.
when they grow up.
Yeah. And, it's important what we fight for.
Yes, sir.
And choosing what we fight for, because a lot of times when we're young, it's, you get disillusioned to think, what is worth fighting for? What is my life worth living for? And of course, you're saved, you're a child of God. And it's like, well, I'm saved, I'm going to heaven. And so now I'm just going to live my life. End up having a wasted life. Of course, you're here on the mission field with us. And, not by choice. You didn't choose this life. But you're very involved in what we do. And, you've been hugely used of God as we've ministered to families and helping, and, they'll bring their kids over and be like, hey, Joshua, so-and-so's coming over. Can you watch their son? And you do that. Been a big help. You've translated for us, which you're very excited about that. And so, training and preparation. Do you feel like, young people today understand the importance of being prepared for the battle that's coming?
Most likely not. A lot of teens probably aren't even aware that the battle is coming.
Yeah.
They live in their own world. They don't really pay attention. But I feel like a lot of teens that are saved in churches, most of them that do know the battle is coming, they know what to do. They just aren't, they don't have enough urgency in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't read my Bible today. It's fine, I'll read it tomorrow.
Mm.
And so on. But I feel like a lot of teenagers aren't prepared and
Not ready for the battle?
aren't ready.
Yeah. So what would you say to parents, who are listening to this, like me, as far as helping young people be prepared?
Helping your kids, your teenagers, Bible reading,
Mm-hmm.
spending time with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because without fellowship with God, without if you're not walking with God, you're not gonna get too far. But mainly, if you can make sure that your teenager has a walk with God every day and is consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and if your teenager has a heart, he wants to serve the Lord, he wants to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and you can help him just have consistency with that.
Yeah.
With that. And you can also, by your example, show them that you are reading the Bible, you're pulling out, you're finding things,
Mm-hmm.
showing them what you learned through the Bible, things like that.
Okay. It's good. And, as a parent, I think anybody who's listening to this, would say, I could do better at training my children. Training isn't fun. Training isn't fun. We're watching the World Cup now, and last night watching Portugal, and who do they play?
They play Croatia.
Croatia, and that was quite the crazy ending there. Croatia scores at the end, then it's disallowed, and a lot of training goes into the World Cup because they see that that's their goal, that one day I'll get to the big stage, the World Cup, and Portugal has Ronaldo, and he scored a goal in 5 World Cups,
and 6.
6 World Cups. 6 World Cups?
I think so. No. I think so, 6.
5 would be 20 years. How old is he now?
He's 41. So
Did he play when he was 16?
I think so. I think he would have been 6 World Cup.
But he's one of the best players to have never won
Yes,
World Cup.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the best to have never won. And he's trained a lot.
Yes, sir. In fact, in the soccer world, now there might be another because he's the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
But he took a test recently with the bio age thing where you do
Mhm.
a test and it tells like according to your body how old your body is. And the test came back. He's 41. The test came back that he's 28.
Mm.
His body was like the same as a 28-year-old, just from the fact that how he cares for his body, how he trains,
Mm-hmm.
his day, the routine he has. He has 6 meals. He sleeps. He takes half-hour naps.
Mm-hmm.
Just the training he does.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes, sir.
Would you say that he's one of the most disciplined soccer players out there?
Yes, sir.
You know, who would you say is one of the soccer players that had a lot of talent but didn't have a lot of discipline?
From Brazil, there's Ronaldinho Gaúcho.
Mm-hmm.
He trying to remember the club he played at.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
But he would get there, and he would dribble, and he'd score goals. But when Messi went to Barcelona at a very young age, he saw from Ronaldinho's life. Ronaldinho would go play a game, he'd win, he'd go out and get drunk, and he had no discipline. He was very talented, but
Mm-hmm.
no discipline, and that is something. He would go out and get drunk. He'd go play in the game.
Eat whatever he wanted and
He
just
did
live
whatever
everyone.
he would just live to be happy. He just did what he wanted. He wouldn't really train.
Yeah.
He would get to practice late,
Mm-hmm.
and he was good enough that when he was able to stay at the team because he was that good. He had that talent. But like any other thing, getting late to practice, that wouldn't work.
Mm.
And that is eventually why he stopped.
Because his lack of discipline.
His lack of discipline. Yes, sir.
So what do we learn from? we're talking about soccer, which right now is really kind of in the limelight, and we're looking at Ronaldo, who at 41 years old still has the body of a 28 years old. How can we take that and apply it to our Christian life as a young man, 16 years old? You've got a lot of advantages. You're raised in church. You're raised to serve God, and don't know what the future holds for you. But what do we take away from that?
We could have discipline in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some things we could do would be sacrificing time.
Mm-hmm.
Like on a Saturday afternoon, I could go out and play soccer out with my friends,
Mm-hmm.
or I could go to my church's evangelism
Mm-hmm.
and try to win souls. And
Mm-hmm.
I think discipline and there's a missionary, John Payton,
Mm-hmm.
who was a missionary to the New Hebrides Islands.
Mm-hmm.
In the last years of his life, he would get up, and he's in his 76,
Mm-hmm.
late 70s. He would wake up at he would go to bed at 1 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
wake up at 5. He would preach 3 meetings on a Sunday, and a meeting every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be on the train. He would waiting for the train. He would be trying to translate the New Testament into the language of the natives there.
Mm-hmm.
He would just stop running he was just always working.
Mm-hmm.
And not that we should always be working. There's time for rest, of course, and that. But he was just always on the move, always trying to further the advance of the gospel. And very disciplined life.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, he says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that you may obtain. I think we talked about one of our other podcasts for men that you can train all your life and never win a World Cup.
Yes.
No matter how talented you are, because if you're the only guy there with talent, then you need the other guys. You need your confederates to be to be trained as well. But not everybody's going to win a World Cup.
Yes, sir.
But as a Christian, we can all win the prize.
Yes, sir.
right? And he says, in this, he said, and every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to attain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. If the world is that motivated to win a World Cup,
Yes, sir.
how much more should we be
Yes.
to win the incorruptible crown, things God had for us? He says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And so, yeah, training isn't necessarily fun or enjoyable,
No, sir.
but it's necessary
Yes.
if you're gonna reach your potential and do things for God. And so we see that Abraham, even though he was never attacked, he always knew there was a possibility.
Yes, sir.
And so training his servants, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go when he's old,
Do not depart from it.
will not depart from it. And so training, training is very important. And Abraham trained his servants, prepared them for this battle. And so very good. Appreciate that, Joshua. Let's go back to Genesis 14 here and
Yes, sir.
read that verse for us again. I think we're in verse 14.
When Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan.
Okay. Is there anything else in there? I think we pulled out that they're prepared. They fight. A man fights. And I don't know if I asked on this podcast, why does a man fight?
He fights for his family.
Mm-hmm.
He should fight for his family, for what is right, his convictions,
Mm-hmm.
and his friends. He should fight for his friends.
Okay.
In the right, and I think he should also fight for the God, for the gospel,
Mm-hmm.
for what is right, and like the defenseless.
Defenseless. Mm-hmm. What is it that motivates a man to fight?
He sees a man.
Because he's a man. That's what a man does. He fights. When David heard that Keilah was under attack, David's like, Lord, you want us to go defend it? And the Lord's like, go. When the Good Samaritan was coming along and he was on his horse and he saw the guy that was on the ground, it wasn't like he went through some checklist and be like, should I help this guy? It was something in him compelled him to help
Yes,
him.
sir.
And that's what a man does. A man's desire is to defend, to fight. He has that desire in him. And Abraham didn't, when he heard that Lot had been taken, he didn't take a poll. He didn't ask other people what they thought. It wasn't like, hey, Eliezer, what do you think we should do here? His immediate reaction was, what?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go save him.
Let's go save him. And that's, a man's desire is to fight. A man's desire is to pray. A man's desire is to preach the gospel. Jesus says, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Because that's what a man does. A man has a desire to work for the Lord, to pray, to fight, to evangelize. These are things that a man does. And so his immediate reaction to Lot being taken was he armed his trained servants. So that's the other thing we didn't talk about in the other one. He armed them.
Yes.
He had weapons.
Yes.
He had weapons. And so he's already prepared. He trained his servants. He'd prepared them. Verse 15, read that for us.
And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hubah, which is on the left hand of Damascus.
Okay. What is it? What do we see? What principles do we see in this verse?
That he knew where to fight, how to fight.
He knew where to fight. They're going to fight at night, which is very, very dangerous. You talked about, who was it you talked about? Gideon, yeah. They went out at night and the enemy starts fighting themselves. There's a great danger when you fight at night. Of course,
Yes.
when I was in the Marine Corps, we would go out and we would train at night. One of the great dangers is you end up killing each other.
Yes.
You can't recognize your own guys. You have to be very organized, very disciplined to go out at night. And he divided his forces
Yes, sir.
at night. And what does that mean? for him to.
That he had sub leaders.
He had leaders. Yeah,
Help his,
he trained. He had leaders that could do these maneuvers. These extra, because these are not simple maneuvers. They're extra. I mean, you divide your army, and it's like everybody has to go in the right place. And did we talk about that on this podcast? Yeah, about the king that came down. The army wasn't together.
Yes.
Confederate. And so they were very organized, very disciplined, but you had leaders there.
Yes.
And of course, there's a great need today for leaders. As a man, I have to be a leader of my home.
Yes, sir.
As a young man, you've got to be a leader at church and lead others. And as a leader, what are some of the important things about a leader?
A leader is humble.
Mm-hmm.
He's honest.
Mm-hmm.
And a leader will also be if he has others above him, he'll be submissive
Uh-huh.
to the leaders above him. If he has no here on human, he'll be submissive. He's of course submissive to the God,
Yeah.
the Lord, and he's prudent,
Mm-hmm.
foresees the evil before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that a good leader has influence. He knows how to
Mm-hmm.
get the people to want what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
He's a good influence on the people.
That's good. Now, we've talked about this before. Can you be humble and not be a good leader?
Yes.
Can you be an example and not be a good leader?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, those things don't necessarily make you a good leader.
Yes.
Now, a good leader needs to be humble, and he needs to be an example. What if these leaders here that Abraham has appointed, what if they decided they had a better plan than Abraham?
It would have most likely gone wrong.
Bad.
Yeah.
It would have been a disaster if they said, oh, we don't want to follow Abraham's plan. So they've divided maybe in 2 or 3, and Abraham's like, you go over here and you attack there, and you go over here and you attack there, and we're all going to attack at the same time. And the guy's like, well, I don't want to do that. And so it's really important for leaders to have the same vision as the one who's leading. Like the pastor has to have a vision, and the leaders in the church have to have the same vision. They have to be following the same vision, even though they may have other ideas, And that's one of the challenges for you, because you're 16 now, and, you're becoming a man, and you've got some ideas and some thoughts, and you know some things. You're an intelligent young man. What are some of the challenges for you as you grow into a man?
Authority, because I have my own ideas.
Uh-huh.
I have my what I want to do. Being a leader,
Mm-hmm.
good leader, and being an example.
Mm-hmm.
Just an example.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard when you get to 16, 17, 18, and you're like, but Dad, I have my own ideas. And they're not all bad ideas. They're good ideas. And of course that's what I want. I want you to grow up and have ideas, have vision. And I'm very excited about where you're at as a young man growing. And so, yeah, Abraham had leaders that could lead his different troops to go into battle. And that's, of course, one of the principles of manhood is you should be developing leaders, and you should be developing into a leader. But in order to develop into a leader, you have to follow the vision of whoever's above you and have to understand their vision and learn, because you're going to want to pass that vision on to other people. Because the leaders in Abraham's group here, it wasn't just a matter of them doing what he said, but they had to relay that to the others, and they all had to do together what Abraham said and follow his vision in order to get victory in this. I think that's... do you see anything else there in verse 15?
Well, there's... we can talk about where to fight.
Okay.
And before in the battle of the kings there, they fought in the Vale of Siddim, which is full of slime pits.
Yeah.
And they basically cut off all retreat. And I don't know what their thought process was. We can't retreat, so our men will fight to the last. Or what? I don't know. But
We'll lead them into the slime pits. That's where we'll win.
they basically cut off their own escape. They chose the worst place. If they lost, they just lost everything in that one battle. And here near in the and they followed him unto Dan, near Damascus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure. I didn't study the geography here, but I'm assuming it's kind of like a plain.
Yeah.
You know, if we take them, we capture them. If we fail, we can still follow them and have another shot at it.
Yeah.
You know, where one defeat won't cost the whole, the whole war.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It is important to know where to fight.
Yes.
And, I think that comes into prudence.
Yes.
That you foresee the evil. You want to, when you hear histories, some of the great generals, Alexander the Great, they would look for the perfect battlefield that was going to strengthen, the Huns. They would fight on horseback.
Sure.
And one of the guys that ended up being victorious is he would stop and fight them in areas where the horses weren't as big of an advantage. I don't remember the name of the man that they were fighting against. But we need to fight in a place where we have the advantage.
Yes, sir. And one of the battles that is famous for Alexander the Great, he had marched the whole day. He stopped in front of the enemy, and by the time he got there, it was evening, and the sun was setting. And he's like, "Let's attack now." And his generals were like, "No, our men are tired. Let's wait till the next day." Then Alexander Team said, "Right now, the sun is in their eyes. If we wait till tomorrow morning, it'll be in our eyes." And so they went down, and because the sun was in the enemy's eyes, they had a harder time, and they ended up winning the battle.
What about that? That's good.
A simple thing like that. He saw, that. And as far as the cavalry infantry thing, and during the medieval ages, cavalry, everybody, the knights, the cavalry, but in the war between the British and Scottish, English and Scottish, England had cavalry, well, the Scottish didn't. But where they would fight, but what they would do is they fight in the swamps, they fight in the hilly country, where their cavalry was no good, and that's how they defended.
So that's good. That's good. A man knows
where to fight.
has to look out the battlefield ahead of time.
Yes.
And it's important. How would we relate that to the Christian life of knowing where to fight?
Where we wouldn't be fighting, like, sometimes you're evangelizing, you're preaching the gospel to somebody. You're not going to start fighting. That's not the place to fight about drugs or whatever. To fight about whether you should wear this type of clothing or not.
Yeah.
You're there to fight about, trying to win.
You stay focused on. Yeah, you stay focused on the gospel, because if they're not saved, they're not going to understand the importance of those other things. That's good. So let's go to verse 16, and we'll end there. Read that verse for us.
And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the woman also and the people. So
they recovered all.
Yes, sir.
They recovered all because the leaders, and they were trained. Their leaders and all that. They'd recovered all, and of course, there's a missions message in here as well. Yes, when we talk about missions and the importance of missions, and Lot and the people of Sodom are in captivity, by the world, the prince of power of the world. And so we need these principles, the idea of missions, so that we can help save the lost, recover the lost. Now, Lot was saved, and when Abraham came at night, and Lot's there sleeping in the camp or whatever, or not sleeping, and Abraham comes in, and it's like, destroys the four kings, and all their army with his 318 and his confederates come in. And Lot is so happy. He's like, we're saved. And it's Abraham. Abraham has saved us. And I'm sure he gave Abraham a big hug, and, so excited to see Uncle Abraham there. And, this was an incredible moment for Lot, because Lot was out of Sodom, and he had a second chance. And he had a chance to leave Sodom. And I believe, personally, the Bible doesn't say this, but I believe he had all his kids there. I don't believe they'd married into the people of Sodom yet. I believe God was giving him an opportunity to be free from Sodom. And, growing up in a Christian home, you don't ever imagine that you'll be living in Sodom. And of course, I hope you and Rebecca never do live in Sodom. That'd be a horrible thing. But there's a lot of young people who've grown up in Abraham's home and ended up down in Sodom. And then he gets a second chance. He can leave Sodom. He can follow Abraham.
With all his goods.
Huh?
With all his goods.
With all his goods. He could go follow Abraham with all his goods and be free from Sodom. I mean, he saw the defeat that was in Sodom and the victory that was with Abraham. And a lot of young people grow up seeing the victories of Abraham and then get enchanted by, the pleasures of Sodom and the wickedness of Sodom. The Bible says he vexed his righteous soul in day to day. And so right now, Lot sees the victory. He sees the defeat and he sees the victory. But what's Lot going to do, Joshua?
He's going to choose to stay in Sodom.
He's going to go back to Sodom. Does he get another chance to walk away?
No.
No. And he ends up losing his wife. He ends up losing his 2 daughters down there. He ends up committing wicked, perverse sin with his other 2 daughters. And
all his goods.
Lost all his goods. When Lot was sitting in the cave with his 2 daughters, do you think his mind ever went back to this moment?
Probably.
And he says, you know what? I had a chance. I had a chance to get away. And I'll say this, there's a lot of men who get a second chance and think they're going to get a third and a fourth. But you never know. You never have a guarantee that you're going to get a third and fourth chance. And so, of course, the main lesson is don't go to Sodom. Don't end up in Sodom. And so, wonderful. And so we're going to stop there this week. And next week, we're going to continue on here in Genesis 14. There's other principles here, but that's great, Joshua. You did a great job today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We could start our own podcast. And so I would enjoy that. I enjoy doing the podcast with you today. Appreciate you being willing to do this. And not just willing, but excited about doing that. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in today. And so thankful for Joshua, my son, who's here with me. And thank you for following the podcast. Do, if you would, follow the channel and like the podcast. And if it's a blessing, share it with other people. And reach out and let us know if it's a blessing to you through YouTube or Spotify or other channels through Facebook. If you see it on there, let us know it's a blessing to you. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Joshua.
That's it.
And we'll be back with you next week, Lord willing.